Welcome to my channel Unleash Your English, my friend. Let me ask you something. Do you believe a garden can change a life? What if that garden was a secret? What if that secret could heal sadness, bring back joy, and even make someone walk again? Today, you'll hear a story about a lonely girl, a sick boy, and a garden that changed everything. It's not just a story. It's a journey. It's English. It's life. Comment below. Do you believe a place can change a person? Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Girl Nobody Loved. Mary Lennox was not a happy child, and she was not a kind child. She lived far away from England, in a hot country called India. But she did not laugh in the sunshine. She did not play with other children. She was always alone. Her face was thin and angry. Her eyes were cold. Her voice was always shouting, always saying, "Do this, do that." She never smiled. Why was she like this? Because nobody ever loved her. Nobody ever hugged her. Nobody ever said, "You are special." Her parents were too busy. Her father was an important officer. He worked all day and never had time for his little girl. Her mother was very beautiful. She went to parties and wore nice clothes. But she never wanted to be with Mary. Mary was not pretty. She was not sweet. So her mother gave her to the servants and forgot about her. A servant named Kamala had to care for Mary. She washed her, dressed her, and fed her. But she was just doing a job. Kamala had her own children to love. Mary was just another task. So Mary grew up like a plant with no water. Dry, cold, alone. She never played. She never shared. She never learned to love. She learned to command. "Kamala, give me food." "Kamala, I don't want this toy." "Kamala, go away." Kamala listened. She always listened. Because she was afraid. Because in that house, even a little child had power if her parents were rich. Mary had everything: clothes, toys, a beautiful home. But she had no love. And without love, even the richest life is empty. So she became selfish, rude, and lonely. Not just on the outside, but inside her heart too. And then, something terrible happened. One morning, Mary woke up. It was very quiet. Kamala was not there. A different servant stood by her bed. Mary sat up and said, "Where is Kamala? I want her now." But the servant looked afraid. She didn't answer. She just whispered, "Kamala, she cannot come." Mary did not understand. Why was the house so quiet? Where was everyone? She got up and walked through the rooms. The house felt cold, empty. She went outside to the garden. She picked red flowers and played alone. She talked to herself. "I will hit Kamala when she comes back. I hate her." But Kamala never came back. Suddenly, Mary heard voices. Her mother was walking in the garden with a young Englishman. They didn't see Mary. They were talking in low, worried voices. "It's very bad," said the man. "People are dying. The disease is spreading. You must leave the city." Mary's mother looked scared. "Oh no," she said. "We have to go quickly." Then they heard a scream from the servants' room. Mary's mother cried out, "What happened?" "Someone has died," said the man. "In your house." Her mother screamed. They ran back inside. Mary stood alone under the tree. Now she understood. There was a sickness in the town. People were dying. Servants were running away. And Kamala was dead. Mary said nothing. She just sat under the tree. She didn't cry. She didn't move. She just waited. That night was full of strange sounds. People shouting. People crying. People leaving. But nobody came to Mary. Nobody checked on her. Nobody fed her. She was just a forgotten child. And when the sun rose the next day, the house was quiet. Too quiet. No footsteps. No voices. No food. Nothing. Mary got out of bed and walked through the house. It felt like a dream. A very bad dream. Finally, she heard voices. Two men. They were talking in the hallway. "What a sad thing," said one man. "That beautiful woman gone." "Wasn't there a child?" asked the other. "Yes, but no one ever saw her." Then the door opened. Mary stood there, pale, small, angry. "I am Mary Lennox," she said. "Where is everybody? I want food." The men looked shocked. "This is the child. They forgot her." Mary looked at them and said, "Why has nobody come to take care of me?" One man looked down. "Because everyone is gone. Your parents, the servants, there is no one left." Mary said nothing. She was not sad. Her parents were like shadows to her. She never knew them. She never loved them. And now they were gone. But she was used to being alone. She had always been alone. And so, she just asked, "Where will I go now?" One man answered, "You will go to England. To your uncle. His name is Mr. Archibald Craven. He lives in a big house in Yorkshire." Mary didn't care. She just wanted things to go back to normal. A servant to dress her. Food to eat. A quiet room to sleep in. She was sent to stay with a British family for a short time. The house was full of noise. Children laughed and ran everywhere. Mary hated it. She stayed in the garden alone. One day, a boy named Basil tried to play with her. "Let me help with the flowers," he said. "No," she shouted. "Go away." Basil laughed and danced around her. "Miss Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow?" he sang, making fun of her. Mary had never been laughed at like that before. She turned red with anger. Basil said, "You're going to live with your uncle. He's very strange. He has a crooked back, and he hates everyone." "I don't believe you," said Mary. But inside, she felt cold. She didn't like the sound of it. A man who hated people. A man who lived alone. A big, dark house. Was this her new life? A few days later, she met Mrs. Medlock, the housekeeper. Together, they traveled by train to Yorkshire. Mrs. Medlock was loud, big, and strong. She didn't smile at Mary. What a strange little girl, she thought. On the train, she said, "Your uncle lives in a very large house. Almost 100 rooms. But most are locked. You must stay in your room. Mr. Craven doesn't like visitors." Mary looked outside the train window. The sky was gray. The rain was falling. Her heart felt heavy. She didn't want to go, but she had no choice. Her life was about to change. She was going to a house of silence, of mystery, and maybe of something more. Chapter 2: The House of Silence. The train stopped at a small, cold station in the north of England. It was already dark outside. Rain was falling. Mary followed Mrs. Medlock out of the train. They didn't talk much. The woman didn't seem very friendly, and Mary didn't care. She was not used to friendly people anyway. Outside the station, an old carriage was waiting. The horse looked tired. The man who drove it looked even more tired. They started their long drive to the big house. The road was wet. The wind was strong. The land outside looked strange. No trees. No houses. Just wild land. It looked empty, like a gray sea. Mary looked out the window and asked, "What is this place?" Mrs. Medlock said, "It's called the moor. It's wild. And your uncle's house is right on the edge of it." The wind made a strange sound. It moved across the moor like a voice crying in the night. Mary listened. "What is that noise?" she asked. "It sounds like the sea." "No," said Mrs. Medlock. "That's just the wind on the moor." Mary didn't like it. It was too loud, too lonely, too different from India. She sat quietly and looked at the dark shapes outside the window. I don't like this, she thought. I don't like any of this. After a long drive, the carriage stopped. Mary looked out and saw a huge, dark house. It had many windows, but most of them were black. No light, no welcome. The house looked like it was sleeping, or maybe it was hiding. Mrs. Medlock opened the door and said, "Come on. This is Misselthwaite Manor, your new home." Mary followed her inside. The hallway was big and cold. The walls were high. Everything smelled old. There was a fire burning in the fireplace, but it didn't feel warm. Mary felt very small, very far from everything she knew. They walked up the stairs. There were pictures on the walls, paintings of men and women with serious faces. No one was smiling. No one looked kind. Mrs. Medlock opened a door. Inside the room was a bed, a table, and a chair. A fire was burning here too. "This is your room," she said. "Eat your supper. Then go to bed. And remember, don't walk around the house. Mr. Craven doesn't like it." Then she left. Mary sat alone. She looked at the food on the table. She wasn't very hungry, but she ate a little bread. She drank some warm tea. Then she looked around the room. The wallpaper was old. The pictures were of dogs and horses. There were no toys, no flowers. It didn't feel like a child's room. She sat by the fire and stared at the flames. "This house is strange," she thought. "Everything is so quiet. Too quiet." Then she went to bed. The wind cried outside the window. It sounded like a voice. A sad voice, lost in the night. Mary pulled the blanket over her head. She missed the sounds of India, even the hot sun. But she didn't cry. She never cried. Not even now. The next morning, a young girl was in the room, cleaning the fireplace. She had red cheeks and a friendly face. She looked at Mary and smiled. "Good morning. I'm Martha." Mary looked at her. "Who told you to speak to me?" she asked. Martha laughed. "No one. I just like to talk. Don't you?" Mary didn't answer. She looked out the window. "What's that outside?" she asked. "That's the moor," said Martha. "Do you like it?" "No," said Mary. "It's ugly." Martha smiled again. "Maybe you'll like it one day. In spring, it's full of flowers. The air smells sweet. The birds sing. I love it." Mary looked at her with surprise. This servant was not like the others. She talked too much. She was not afraid of Mary. "In India, we don't talk to servants," Mary said. "We give orders." "Well," said Martha, "you're not an Indian now." Mary didn't like her answer, but she didn't know what to say. She had never met someone like Martha. "Are you going to dress me?" Mary asked. Martha laughed. "Dress yourself, miss. You're not a baby." Mary was shocked. "But Kamala always dressed me." "Then it's time you learned," said Martha. "My mother says people should do things for themselves, even rich ones." Mary's face turned red. "You don't know anything. I hate this place." She ran to the bed and began to cry. Big, angry tears. Martha looked at her kindly. Now, she said. "Don't cry like that. I'm sorry if I made you upset." Her voice was soft. For the first time in a long time, someone spoke to Mary with kindness. Slowly, Mary stopped crying. Martha talked as she cleaned. She talked about her house, her family, her 12 brothers and sisters. Mary listened quietly. She didn't speak much, but something in her heart felt warm. "I want to meet your brother," she said at last. "Dickon." "Oh, Dickon is always out on the moor," said Martha. "With animals. Even the wild ones love him." Later that day, Mary walked outside. The air was cold. but it felt good on her face. The garden was big. There were walls all around it. Some doors were open. Some were closed. She walked and walked. She saw an old man digging in the earth. He didn't look friendly, so she didn't talk to him. This place is ugly, she thought. Dead trees. No flowers. But then she remembered what Martha said. In spring, there will be flowers. She kept walking. She saw a red bird sitting on a tree. The bird sang. It looked at her. It didn't fly away. A robin, she thought. It's not afraid of me. She smiled a little. The first real smile on her face. That night, the wind was loud again. Mary sat by the fire and listened. But then, she heard something else. A sound. A soft sound. A child. Crying. Far away in the house. She sat still and listened. It came again. A soft, sad cry. Someone is crying, she whispered. Martha came in. Mary asked, "Who is crying?" Martha looked away. It's the wind. Nothing else. But her face looked different. She was hiding something. Mary said nothing. But she knew. Someone else was in the house. A child. A secret. A cry in the dark. The next day it rained. Mary stayed inside. She started walking through the halls. Room after room. All empty. Dusty. Old. She touched a painting. It felt cold. Then, she heard it again. The cry. She followed the sound. Slowly. Quietly. But then, Mrs. Medlock appeared. Her eyes were sharp. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I got lost," said Mary. "I heard something." "You heard nothing," shouted Mrs. Medlock. "Go back to your room. And stay there." Mary didn't answer. She walked away. But in her heart, she smiled. There is someone, she thought. I will find out. I know I will. For the first time in her life, Mary was not bored. She was curious. She wanted to know more. And something deep inside her was waking up. She was still lonely. But now, the house wasn't just full of silence. It was full of mystery. And Mary liked that very much. Chapter 3: The Robin and the Key. The rain had stopped. The sky was still gray, but the wind was softer now. Mary opened her window and looked outside. The air was cold, but it was not too cold to go out. She took a deep breath. Something in the air felt different. Fresh. New. She remembered what Martha had said. Spring is coming. Spring. A time when the dead trees grow green again. A time when flowers wake up. Mary didn't understand seasons before. In India, it was always hot. Or too hot. But here, she could feel the change. She could feel something moving in the air. A beginning. A quiet kind of magic. She put on her coat and shoes and went outside. She didn't tell anyone. She didn't ask. She just walked. The wind touched her face gently. The moor was quiet. The garden wall stood tall and still. She walked past empty flower beds. The trees had no leaves yet. But she noticed something new, small green tips coming from the ground. Shoots. Life. It made her heart feel lighter. She kept walking. As she turned a corner, she saw him. A little red robin sitting on the wall. His head was turned to one side. He was looking at her. He did not fly away. He stayed. Mary stopped. She looked back at the robin. They both stood still for a moment. The bird moved his head again and made a small sound. Then he flew from the wall to a tree branch. He looked at her again, as if to say, "Come this way." Mary followed slowly. She didn't want to scare him. The robin hopped from branch to branch, tree to tree, always just a little ahead of her, as if he wanted her to see something. Something important. Something secret. She followed him until he flew to a part of the garden wall that looked different. The wall was covered with old plants. Thick, heavy vines. Dark green leaves. The kind of place people walk past without looking. But the robin stopped here. He sat on the vines and began to sing. Not just a little song, but a full, happy one. Mary watched him. "What are you trying to show me?" she whispered. She stepped closer to the wall. She looked carefully at the vines. Something caught her eye. The vines moved a little in the wind, and behind them, was it a line? A crack in the wall. Mary reached out her hands and pulled the vines aside. Her fingers touched cold metal. A doorknob. A round, rusty doorknob hidden under the leaves. Her heart jumped. A door. A real door. But it would not open. There was no keyhole she could see. Her fingers searched for it, but it was covered in more vines, more time, more years of silence. The robin flew down to the ground and began pecking at a spot near the roots of a tree. Mary walked over and watched him. He was scratching at the soil like he was digging. She bent down and looked closer. Something shiny was sticking out of the dirt. Something small and metal. Her hand reached for it. It was a key. An old key. A forgotten key. She held it in her hand and stared. It was cold. Heavy. Real. "Could this be?" she whispered. She looked back at the door hidden in the wall. She looked at the key in her hand. "You showed me the key," she said to the robin. "You really did." She felt something she had never felt before. Not power. Not control. Not pride. She felt wonder. She felt joy. She felt a secret waking up inside her. A beautiful, living secret. Mary didn't try to open the door that day. She didn't tell anyone. Not Martha. Not Mrs. Medlock. Not even the robin. She put the key deep in her coat pocket. "I'll wait," she said to herself. "I'll wait for the right day." She walked slowly back to the house. Her steps were soft, but her heart was dancing. For the first time in her life, she had a secret. Not a sad secret. Not a scary secret. A happy one. A magical one. A secret garden waiting for her. The next day, Martha came back after her day off. She was smiling and full of stories. "I told Mother about you," she said. "I told her you were lonely and didn't like to eat much. She sent you a gift." Mary was surprised. "A gift? For me?" "Yes," said Martha. "We don't have much," but she said, "that poor girl needs something to do. She needs to be strong. She needs to play. So she bought this from a man who came to the door." Martha pulled something from her bag. It was a skipping rope. Mary stared at it. She had never seen one before. "What is it?" she asked. "A skipping rope," said Martha. "Watch." Martha jumped up and began skipping in the room. 1, 2, 3, up to 50, then 100. Her feet moved fast. Her face was red with joy. Mary watched, amazed. "It looks like fun," she said. "It is fun, and it's good for your health. Try it." Mary took the rope. She was clumsy at first. Her feet didn't know what to do. But she laughed. She really laughed. And she tried again. And again. And then, she skipped. 1, 2, 3. Her hair flew in the air. Her face became red and warm. "I like it," she said. "I like it very much." She skipped all the way outside. To the garden paths. Past the old trees. The robin flew above her. She skipped and laughed and counted. Her heart was light. Her face was bright. She felt free. "This is what I want," she said. "I want to skip. I want to smile. I want to grow." She skipped past Ben Weatherstaff, the old gardener. He looked surprised. "Well," he said, "you look better today, Miss Mary. A bit of red in your cheeks." Mary stopped and smiled at him. "Your robin showed me something yesterday. He's a smart one. That bird," said Ben. He's got no other robins to talk to. Maybe he thinks you're a robin too. Mary laughed. Maybe I am. Then she grew serious. Ben, why is that one garden always locked? Ben's face changed. His smile disappeared. He picked up his spade. You shouldn't ask about that, he said. It's not your business. But I want to know, Mary said. No one has gone in for 10 years. What? Ben looked at her. His eyes were sad. It was Mrs. Craven's garden, he said. She loved it. Your uncle loved her. But one day, she fell from a tree inside that garden. She died the next day. Mr. Craven locked the door, buried the key, said no one must go in again. Ever. Mary listened quietly. That's very sad, she said. Yes, said Ben. Sad and strange. He hasn't smiled since. He travels most of the time now. He doesn't want to remember. Then he looked at her. But you, why do you care? I don't know, said Mary. But I feel like the garden is still alive. Like it wants someone to care for it again. Ben looked at her. For a moment, his face was soft. But then he turned away. I must work now. You run and skip. That's your job. Mary walked away, but her mind stayed on the garden. That evening, she sat with Martha by the fire. The house was quiet. The wind blew gently outside. Tell me about the secret garden, Mary said. Oh, said Martha. I shouldn't talk about it. But I will just a little. She told Mary the same story Ben had told. About the tree. About the fall. About the sadness. It was her favorite place, said Martha. She and Mr. Craven were happy there. After she died, he couldn't even look at it. Mary felt her heart get heavy. Poor Mr. Craven, she said. It was the first time she felt sorry for someone other than herself. Just then, the wind shook the windows. And under the sound of the wind, Mary heard it again. The cry. A child. Soft. Sad. Real. Can you hear it? She asked. That crying. Martha froze. No, she said quickly. It's just the wind. But her voice sounded wrong. Mary knew. It's not the wind, she whispered. There's someone else in this house. That night, Mary lay in bed. She held the skipping rope under her blanket, and in her pocket, the old key. She touched it with her fingers. Cold, strong, full of secrets. I will find the door again, she said to herself. I will open it. I will go inside. Her eyes closed, but her heart stayed awake, full of dreams, full of magic, full of something new. The secret was calling her, and Mary was ready to follow it. Chapter 4. Inside the Secret Garden. It was morning. The sky was soft gray, but the rain had stopped. The wind was light. The air smelled clean. Mary woke up early. She opened the window and looked outside. She could hear the birds singing. The robin was somewhere nearby. She felt something inside her chest, a kind of pull. A feeling that said, go. Not to the house. Not to the moor. But to the wall. To the garden. The secret garden. She dressed quickly and took the old key from her coat. She touched it with her fingers. It was cold, heavy, and real. It was her secret. No one knew. Not Martha. Not Mrs. Medlock. Not even Ben. Only the robin. And now it was time. She walked through the garden paths with quiet steps. She passed the trees, the old stone bench, the dried flowers, and the empty beds. The wind touched her hair. She stopped at the wall covered in vines. Her heart was beating fast. She looked around. No one was there. The robin sat on a branch and watched her. He didn't sing. He was still, like he was waiting too. Mary reached out and moved the leaves again. There it was, the doorknob. Her hands shook. She took the key from her pocket. Slowly, she pushed it into the lock. It made a soft sound, click. The door opened. Just a little. Enough for her to step in. Mary pushed the door fully open and walked inside. Then she closed it behind her. She stood very still. Her eyes were wide. Her mouth was open. She could not speak. She could only look. She was inside the secret garden. It was quiet. Very quiet. The air was still. The garden looked like a dream. It was not clean or perfect. It was not full of flowers. But it was full of something else. Life. Old trees stood like sleeping guards. Vines grew on the walls. The ground was wild. But here and there, small green shoots pushed up through the brown earth. New life. Hidden life. Silent, but strong. Mary took a step. Then another. She walked slowly across the grass. It was thick in some places, thin in others. She saw roses. Old rose trees with long, gray branches. Most looked dead. But when she looked closer, she saw small buds. Tiny green dots. They are not dead, she whispered. They are sleeping. Her face was calm. Her eyes were soft. She walked to the middle of the garden. There was an old stone seat under a tree. She sat there. She didn't speak. She didn't think. She just felt. For the first time in her life, she felt peace. She stayed there for a long time. The robin flew above her. Sometimes he sang. Sometimes he just watched. Mary smiled. You knew this place was here, she said to him. You show me the way. The robin tilted his head and chirped. He seemed happy. After a while, Mary stood up. She walked to the flower beds. She looked at the ground. Many shoots were growing. She touched them gently. You are alive, she said. You need light. You need space. She began to work. She pulled out the thick grass around the baby plants. She moved away the dry leaves. Her fingers touched the earth. It was soft and dark. It felt good. She was not a gardener, but she wanted to learn. She wanted to help the garden grow. She did not know why, but she knew it was important. It was not just a garden. It was something more. It was hope. She worked for 2 hours. Then 3. Her coat got dirty. Her hands were brown with soil. Her face was red. Her heart was light. She took off her coat and left it under the tree. She didn't think about time. She didn't think about rules. She just worked. Quietly. Carefully. Joyfully. She forgot everything else. The big house. Her old life in India. Even her sadness. All of it was gone. It was just her and the garden. When the sun moved behind the clouds, she finally stood up. She looked around. The garden looked different now. Not perfect, but cleaner, softer, brighter, like it had taken a deep breath. She smiled. I will come here every day, she said. I will make this garden live again. She walked to the door. She opened it just a little. She looked outside. No one was there. She stepped out, closed the door, and made sure the vines covered it again. She touched the key in her pocket. It was still there. Safe. She walked slowly back to the house. She didn't feel tired. She felt alive. More alive than she had ever felt before. When she reached her room, Martha was waiting. Where have you been? She asked. Your face is red. Your hands are dirty. Mary smiled. I've been outside. Well, it's done you good, said Martha. You look like a real girl now. Mary laughed. She sat down to eat. She was very hungry. She ate 2 pieces of bread and drank all her tea. Martha was surprised. That's more than I've ever seen you eat, she said. Martha, Mary said, I want something. What's that? I want a little spade. And some seeds. I want to make my own garden. Martha looked at her with wide eyes. Mother said you might say that one day. Dickon can bring you a spade. And seeds too. He knows all about growing things. Dickon, said Mary softly. Will he come here? Yes, said Martha. I'll ask him to bring the things to you. Mary's eyes shined. Thank you. That evening, as the fire burned and the wind sang around the house, Mary sat quietly in her room. She looked at her hands. They were tired, but she liked that feeling. She looked at the floor, then at the fire, then at Martha. Martha, she said. I heard the crying again. Martha froze. No, miss, she said quickly. You must be dreaming. No, I've heard it more than once now. I know someone is crying in this house. Martha stood up. I must go. Mrs. Medlock is calling. She left quickly. Mary watched the door close. She sat still. There is someone, she whispered. I'm sure of it. And one day, I will find them. But for now, her heart was full. Not of questions, but of something else. Something soft and quiet and beautiful. A secret garden. And a secret smile. The next morning, Martha returned with a big smile. She was holding a box. Dickon brought this for you, she said. Mary opened the box. Inside were small packets of seeds. Peas, roses, sunflowers, and more. There was also a small spade and a tiny watering can. Mary touched the tools. She felt tears in her eyes. She didn't know why. Maybe because no one had ever given her a gift like this before. Tell Dickon thank you, she said. He said he'll come tomorrow, said Martha. He wants to show you how to use the seeds. Mary nodded. She looked out the window. The sky was clear. The sun was soft. The garden was waiting. That afternoon, she returned to the secret place. She opened the door and stepped inside. She knelt on the ground and began to dig. The robins sang. The wind moved the branches. The garden was waking up, and so was she. She thought about the boy in the house, the one who cried at night. She didn't know his name. She didn't know his story, but she would find out. One day soon. For now, she had a garden, and that was enough. Mary worked until her arms were tired. She planted seeds. She watered the soil. She cleared space for light to shine. She sat under the tree and looked around. This is my place, she said. No one knows. No one comes. Only me. And the robin. And soon. Dickon. She closed her eyes. The garden was quiet. But it was not silent. It was full of small sounds. A leaf falling. A bird singing. A seed waking. The garden was not dead. It was alive. It had always been alive. It was only waiting for someone to love it again. Mary stood up. She walked to the door. She looked back one last time. Her heart was full. Not with pride. Not with power. But with peace. She closed the door. She covered the vines. She walked back to the house. Her feet were muddy. Her hair was messy. But her eyes were bright. Inside the house, the air was still cold. The rooms were still dark. But Mary didn't feel alone anymore. She had a secret. A beautiful, growing, living secret. And tomorrow, Dickon was coming. Chapter 5. The Boy Who Believed He Would Die. It was night again. The wind moved softly across the moor. The house was quiet. But Mary was not sleeping. She sat in her bed, eyes wide open. She had heard it again. The same soft crying. Not once. Not twice. Many times now. A low, sad cry. It was not the wind. It was not a dream. Someone was crying in the house. And tonight, she decided she would find them. She got out of bed and put on her robe. She opened her door quietly and looked down the dark hallway. The house was big, full of old paintings and thick carpets. The air was cold, but Mary was not afraid. She followed the sound. Around one corner. Up a small stair. Past closed doors. The crying was clearer now. A child. Not a baby. A boy. She reached a large door. It was half open. The sound was coming from inside. Mary pushed the door open and stepped into the room. It was big and full of heavy furniture. The bed was in the middle, with soft white pillows and long curtains. A small lamp was lit near the bed. A boy was lying there. His face was pale. His eyes were red from crying. His body was thin and still. He looked up and saw Mary. "Who are you?" he whispered. "Are you real? Are you a dream?" "I'm Mary Lennox," she said. "Mr. Craven is my uncle." The boy's eyes widened. "Then we are cousins. I'm Colin. Colin Craven. This is my room." Mary looked at him. He looked weak. But he had something in his eyes. Not just sadness. There was something proud, something sharp, like he expected people to be afraid of him. "No one told me about you," she said. "No one tells anyone," he replied. "I'm always in bed. I'm always sick. People think I will die. Maybe I will." Mary walked closer to him. She didn't sit. She didn't smile. She looked straight into his eyes. "Why do you think you will die?" she asked. "I have a crooked back," Colin said. "Like my father. I've always been weak. The doctors say I can't walk, that I'll never grow strong. So I stay here, in this bed, and wait to die." Mary said nothing for a moment. Then she said something that surprised even herself. "You don't look like you're going to die. You look like someone who wants attention." Colin blinked. "What did you say?" "You're not dead," she said. "You're just lonely. Just like I was." Colin stared at her. Then something strange happened. He laughed. A soft, tired laugh. "You're funny," he said. "No one ever talks to me like that. Everyone is scared I'll get angry." "Then they are silly," Mary replied. "You were just a boy, like any other boy." Colin looked at her again. "Tell me about you," he said. "Tell me everything." So Mary told him about India, about the hot sun, the quiet servants, the house with no love. She told him how her parents never cared for her, how she had no friends. And then she told him about Yorkshire, about the gray sky, the moor, the gardens. But she didn't tell him about the secret garden. Not yet. That part was still hers. Colin listened to every word. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. When she stopped talking, he said, "You can come here again. I want you to come. You are not boring like the others." Mary smiled. "I'll come tomorrow," she said. "Promise?" asked Colin. "Promise," said Mary. The next morning, she went to see him again. She didn't tell anyone. She just walked to his room. He was waiting. "Sit here," he said. "Let's read." They opened a book and took turns reading out loud. Colin's voice was weak, but he liked the stories. He liked Mary's voice too. It was not sweet, but it was strong. It made him feel like the world was bigger than his room. "I wish I could see the garden," Colin said suddenly. "What garden?" Mary asked quickly. "I heard there was one. Locked. A secret one. It was my mother's. But my father shut it after she died. I want to see it. I dream about it sometimes." Mary's heart beat faster. She looked down. She didn't want to lie. But she didn't want to tell him yet. Not until she was sure. "Maybe one day," she said softly. In the next few days, Mary visited Colin again and again. They read books, told stories, played little games. He was still in bed, but he laughed more. He looked brighter. His eyes looked less tired. The servants were surprised. "What is happening?" they asked. "Why is he smiling?" But one day, something went wrong. Mary didn't come to see him. She had gone out to the secret garden. The sky was clear, and the shoots were growing faster. She was pulling weeds and talking to the robin. Time passed quickly. When she came back to the house, Martha said, "Miss Mary, he was angry all afternoon. He asked for you many times. He even screamed." Mary went to his room. Colin looked away. His face was red with anger. "You didn't come," he said. "I was outside," said Mary. "I was busy." "With that Dickon boy?" asked Colin. "Yes," she said. "He is kind. He understands animals. He knows how to grow flowers." "I don't want him near you," Colin said. "He will take you away from me." Mary crossed her arms. "You can't tell me what to do," she said. "You are not a prince. I am the son of the house." Colin shouted. "Everyone does what I say." "Then shout alone," Mary said. "I don't care. You are selfish." Colin screamed. "You are more selfish than anyone." Mary shouted back. They both went red in the face. They were angry, very angry. But something good was happening too. For the first time, Colin was using his voice. He was moving his arms. His eyes were bright. He was alive. Mary walked out and slammed the door. That night, the house shook with noise. Colin was screaming again. Everyone was running around. "He'll make himself sick," cried the nurse. "He'll die." Martha ran to Mary. "Please come," she said. "Only you can stop him." Mary got up. "I'm angry with him," she said. "That's why you must go," said Martha. "He needs someone who's not afraid." Mary walked into his room. She stood near the bed. "Stop it," she said. He screamed louder. She walked closer. "Stop it now. I'm going to die," he cried. "You are not," she said. "You're just making noise. My back is crooked. I can feel it." "Show me," she said. "Let me see." Colin froze. No one had ever asked to look. Not even the doctor. But Mary looked serious. So he let her. She pulled up his shirt and touched his back. It was thin, but it was straight. "It's not crooked," she said. "It's fine." Colin looked at her. His mouth was open. His hands shook. "Really?" "Yes," she said. "You're just afraid." Colin lay back. He closed his eyes. His body was quiet. His voice was soft. "I want to live," he said. "Do you think I can?" "I know you can," said Mary. "And I will help you." She sat beside him. She began to speak softly. "There is a garden," she said. "It's secret. It's hidden. It's beautiful." Colin listened. His breath slowed. His hands relaxed. He fell asleep. The next morning, Colin was quiet. But not sad. Mary came back. She brought a book. She brought a smile. "Tell me more about the garden," he said. "Not yet," said Mary. "Soon. Will you take me there?" "Yes," she said. "One day soon." Chapter 6. Dickon and the Magic. The next morning, the sky was clear and full of light. The wind was not too cold, and the earth smelled fresh. Mary woke up early. Her hands were still tired from the day before, but she didn't care. She wanted to go to the secret garden. There were new shoots waiting. There was work to do. And someone very special was coming today. Dickon. She dressed quickly and tied her coat. The small spade was ready. The little watering can was full. The seed packets that Dickon had sent were in a small box near the door. She picked up everything and walked through the gardens with a quiet smile on her face. When she reached the wall, the robin was already there. He sang softly. "You're always early," she said to the bird. "You love this garden like I do." She moved the vines, opened the door, and walked in. The garden was calm and beautiful. The air was full of something Mary did not know how to name. It wasn't just wind or sun. It was something more. something warm and quiet and powerful. She sat near the old tree and looked around. One day, she said to herself, "This garden will be full of flowers." She started to dig. Her hands moved slowly, carefully, with love. She planted seeds. She watered them. She smiled. Then, she heard a sound. Footsteps. Slow, gentle. She turned. A boy stood at the garden door. He had bright blue eyes and a round red face. He looked like the moor, wild, healthy, alive. Two squirrels sat on his shoulders. A small fox walked beside him. A crow flew above. He looked at Mary and smiled. "Are you Miss Mary?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "And you must be Dickon." He nodded. "I brought the rest of the seeds," he said, "and some string for climbing plants. And this little fork for you." He held it out. Mary took it. She felt something warm in her chest. No one had ever given her gifts like this before. Dickon looked around. His eyes were wide. "So this is the secret garden," he said softly. "Martha told me stories, but I never thought I'd see it." "It's ours now," said Mary. "But we must keep it secret. No one can know." "I'll not say a word," said Dickon. "Not even to Mother. I can keep secrets. I keep them for birds and foxes too." He smiled again. Mary liked his smile. It was kind, simple, pure. Together, they started to work. They cleared more grass. They pulled weeds. Dickon showed Mary how to use the fork. "Be gentle," he said. "Roots are sleeping. You must wake them slow." He spoke to the earth like it was alive, like it could hear him. Maybe it could. The robin hopped near them. He sang loudly. "He knows you," said Dickon. "He likes you." Mary smiled. "He showed me the door." "Robins are clever," said Dickon. "He trusts you." That means something. They worked all morning. The garden started to change, a little at a time, like it was waking from a deep sleep. As they worked, Mary told Dickon about Colin. "He is my cousin," she said, "but no one speaks about him. He is always in bed. He cries at night. He thinks he will die." Dickon's face grew serious. "That's sad," he said. "No child should think that." "But I don't think he will die," Mary said. "I think he just needs the garden. I think he needs you." Dickon looked at her. "If we can get him out here, I know he'll feel better." "But he can't walk," said Mary. "Where he thinks he can't." "Then we'll bring him in his chair," said Dickon. "And we'll show him the magic." Mary looked up. "Magic?" Dickon nodded. "There's something in this world," he said. "Something we can't see. It's in the trees, in the birds, in the sun. It makes things grow. It brings flowers from the cold ground. That's magic. I believe in it." Mary listened carefully. Her eyes were wide. "Maybe the garden has magic too." "It does," said Dickon. "And you felt it, didn't you?" "Yes," said Mary softly. "Every time I walk in here." That day, they planted rows of flowers. They laughed. They got dirty. They shared stories. Dickon told her about the moor, about his animals, about his mother. "She's the best woman in the world," he said. "She always knows what to do. And she loves every child. She'd love you too." Mary said nothing, but she felt her eyes get warm. She looked at the sky so Dickon wouldn't see the tears. When the sun was high, they sat down to rest. The squirrels ran around the tree. The fox lay down near Mary. The robin flew from branch to branch. "It's like a little world," said Mary. "A secret world." "It is," said Dickon. "And it's ours. Let's make it beautiful again." That night, Mary went to see Colin. He looked better. His face had more color. His eyes looked brighter. "Where were you today?" he asked. "I waited." "I was outside," she said. "In the garden." Cullen looked curious. The secret one? Mary hesitated. Then she nodded. Yes. Tell me about it, he said. So Mary told him. About the trees. The rose branches. The shoots. The seeds. She told him about Dickon. About the robin. About the fox. She told him everything, except where it was. Cullen closed his eyes. He smiled. I can see it in my mind, he said. It feels like a dream. I want to go. You will, said Mary. But it must be a secret. You mustn't tell the servants. I won't, said Colin. It will be our secret. Yours. Mine. Dickon's. The garden's. Then he whispered, Will the garden help me live? Mary took his hand. Yes, she said. I believe it will. The next day, Colin called for the doctor. I want to go outside, he said. In my wheelchair. I want Dickon to take me. The doctor was surprised. That's a big change, he said. But maybe it will help. So it was decided. In a few days, Colin would go out. For the first time in years. Mary, Dickon, and Colin were ready. But they had to be careful. No one could see. The secret had to stay safe. We will push him out the back way, said Mary. Past the kitchen. Into the small garden. Then through the ivy door. Dickon nodded. Leave it to me. The day came. The sky was blue. The sun was soft and gold. Mary helped Colin dress. Dickon waited near the back door. The servants were busy. No one saw them. They moved slowly, quietly, carefully. When they reached the ivy wall, Mary turned to Colin. Are you ready? Colin nodded. His face was pale, but his eyes were full of light. Mary pulled back the vines. She took out the key. She opened the door. Dickon pushed the chair into the garden. Colin's mouth opened wide. He looked around. The trees. The flowers. The grass. The sky. This is it, he whispered. This is the place from my dreams. The robin flew down and landed near his foot. It's all real, he said. It's all alive. He closed his eyes. I feel warm. I feel light. I feel strong. Mary and Dickon smiled. That's the magic, said Dickon. They stayed in the garden for hours. Dickon told Colin the names of the flowers. Mary showed him the shoots. They laughed. They listened to the birds. They felt the sun on their faces. I want to come every day, Colin said. And I want to walk. Someday I will walk. You will, said Mary. The garden will teach you. That night, when Mary returned to her room, she felt full of joy. She looked in the mirror. Her face had changed. Her eyes were brighter. Her skin was pink. She looked alive. That's what happens, she thought. When you love something, when you care for something, it changes you too. She looked out the window. The moor was wide and still. The wind was soft. The stars were bright. She touched her chest. She felt her heart beating. Not slowly, not sadly, but full, strong, happy. I believe in the magic, she whispered. I believe in gardens, in friends, in new life. And the next day, they would go again. Chapter 7. A Garden of Secrets and Joy. The garden was still a secret, but every day it became more alive. Every morning, the sun rose over the moor, and the world outside the old walls looked gray and cold. But inside the secret garden, the light was golden, the birds were singing, and something beautiful was always growing. The trees had soft green leaves now. The branches of the roses were waking. Tiny buds were ready to open. The grass was soft. The wind was gentle. And the air smelled like something fresh and sweet, like hope. Colin came to the garden every day now. Not just for 10 minutes. Not just to sit. He stayed for hours. At first, Dickon pushed his wheelchair slowly through the garden paths. But soon, Colin wanted more. "I want to try to stand," he said one day. "Only for 1 minute." Mary looked at Dickon. Dickon nodded. "We'll help you," he said softly. Colin put his hands on the side of the chair. His arms were thin. His face looked nervous. But he was ready. He pushed. Slowly. Gently. His feet touched the ground. He stood. He wobbled a little. But he stood. "I'm doing it," he whispered. "I'm really standing." Mary's eyes filled with tears. "You're not going to die," she said. "You're going to live." Cullen smiled. "I think the garden wants me to live. I think it's giving me the power." Every day after that, Colin stood a little longer. He took small steps. At first, only 2. Then 5. Then 10. Dickon helped him walk near the trees. Mary held his hand, and the animals watched quietly, as if they knew something important was happening. The robins sang from the wall. The fox followed them like a friend. The garden was changing, and so was Colin. But they told no one. Not even Martha. Not even the doctor. It was their secret. The 3 children, the animals, the wind, the flowers, and the garden. "People will only tell me I'm sick again," Colin said. "They won't believe I'm getting better. But I know I am." Mary nodded. "When you're strong enough," she said, "we will surprise them all." The garden became a place of laughter. They brought a blanket and had picnics under the trees. Dickon played his wooden pipe, and the animals danced. Colin told jokes. Mary sang little songs from India. They planted more flowers, picked weeds, and watered the plants together. They were not just children anymore. They were gardeners, friends, and dreamers. Each one had a reason to smile. Each one had a reason to wake up every morning. One afternoon, Colin looked around and said, "I think I am the happiest boy in the world." Mary laughed. "That's a big change from the boy who cried in bed." Colin nodded. "That boy is gone. He stayed behind in the dark room. I'm someone new now. I don't want people to be afraid of me anymore. I want to be strong. I want to run. I want to live." Dickon smiled. "You're already strong," he said, "and you'll run soon. I can see it in your eyes." Then he pointed to a tree. "Look, the rosebuds are almost open." They walked to the tree. Colin touched the soft red bud. "When the first rose opens," he said, "that will be my sign. That will be the day I show the world that I am alive." Mary felt a quiet joy in her heart. The garden was not just a place. It was a new beginning. A place of miracles. A place where pain became joy. Where fear became strength. Where a lonely girl, a sick boy, and a wild moor child could become something beautiful, together. They made plans. Colin would practice walking more each day. Dickon would bring simple tools to make the garden better. Mary would learn more about every plant. "We will take care of this garden like it's a living heart," Colin said. "It gave me life, and I will protect it." As the days passed, the weather grew warmer. The sun stayed longer in the sky. The garden was full of color. Yellow daffodils, purple crocuses, pink roses. Everything was blooming. And so were they. One morning, something magical happened. Colin stood up without help. He took 10 steps, then 20. He walked across the grass without holding anyone's hand. Mary clapped. Dickon shouted with joy. The robin flew in circles above him. "I'm walking," Colin said, laughing. "I'm really walking." That day they danced. Colin ran for the first time in his life. He wasn't fast. He wasn't strong. But he was free. His laugh echoed through the trees. His arms were in the air. He looked like a prince, full of light. Mary's heart felt like it would burst. Dickon's eyes sparkled. "The magic," said Colin, out of breath. "It's real. I can feel it. I believe in it more than anything." Then he stopped and looked around. "But we must still keep it a secret. I don't want anyone to take this away from us." Mary and Dickon agreed. "We'll tell them when the time is right," Mary said. "When you're ready." They made a plan for the big day. When the roses were fully open. When the grass was soft. When the sun was bright. That would be the day they would show the doctor, the servants, and Mr. Craven that Colin was no longer a dying boy, but a living miracle. That night, Colin didn't sleep much. He was too happy, too full of hope. "I feel new," he whispered to himself. "I feel strong." And outside his window, the moon smiled. The garden was quiet, but it was waiting. The next chapter of its story was about to begin. The next week, they met every morning. They added more flowers. They painted small wooden signs with names. "These are our soldiers," Colin said. "They protect our happiness." Every seed they planted felt like a promise. A promise that things can grow again. That life can change. That love can heal. Then came the day. The robins sang louder than usual. The wind was soft. The roses were open. Their red petals danced in the sunlight. The garden was ready. "It's time," Colin said. "Let them come." Mary ran to find the doctor and the head servant. "Come with me," she said. "I have something to show you." They were confused. "What is it?" they asked. "Just come," Mary smiled. "You won't believe your eyes." They followed her through the path, past the trees, around the kitchen garden, to the old wall. Mary moved the ivy and opened the door. There, standing in the middle of the garden, was Colin. Tall, bright, alive. The doctor stopped. His mouth opened. He blinked many times. "Is that?" Colin laughed. "Yes, it's me." "But you're walking?" "I am." "You're standing?" "I am." "You're alive." "I always was. I just needed a reason." The doctor walked slowly to him. He touched his arm, then his back. "Your bones are straight. Your heart is strong. This is a miracle." "It's the garden," Colin said. "It healed me." The servant ran back to tell everyone. The house was full of shock and joy. Some cried. Some shouted. But one person still didn't know. Mr. Craven, Colin's father. He was still far away. Still walking in the mountains. Still carrying his sadness. "We must bring him back," Colin said. "I want him to see me. I want him to know that life is not over. That his son is alive. That the garden is still full of love." Mary and Dickon agreed. A letter was written. A message was sent. And the garden waited. But that is a story for the final chapter. Chapter 8. The Father, the Son, and the Garden. Mr. Craven had been away for a long time. He was not just away from Misselthwaite Manor. He was away from life. After his wife died, something in his heart closed forever. He traveled from country to country, mountain to mountain, trying to forget the pain. He believed that if he stayed in one place too long, the sadness would catch him. So he kept walking, kept moving, like a man running from a ghost. He never stayed still. He never laughed. He never visited his son. He thought the boy was weak, sick, and would die young. It was too painful to face, so he stayed away. He didn't know that something magical had started back home. One morning, Mr. Craven sat alone near a lake in a quiet village. His body was tired, and so was his heart. He looked at the still water, and for the first time in many years, he thought of his wife's voice. He remembered her laugh, her soft eyes, and the garden she loved. Something inside him stirred, something that had been silent for a long time. He looked down at the letter in his hand. It was from his housekeeper. The letter said something strange, something unbelievable. It said that his son, Colin, had changed. He was no longer in bed. He no longer cried. He smiled. He laughed. He walked. Mr. Craven read the words again and again. At first, he thought it was a mistake. Maybe it was someone else. Maybe it was a dream. But a small voice inside him said, "What if it's true?" He stood up slowly. He looked at the sky. It was clear and blue. The wind was soft. For the first time in many years, he felt something warm in his chest. It was not pain. It was not fear. It was hope. He packed his things, took a deep breath, and started the journey back home. He didn't know what he would find, but he knew he had to go. Something was waiting for him at Misselthwaite Manor. Or maybe someone. The train ride felt long. The trees passed by the window like pages of an old book. The closer he came to home, the more nervous he felt. What if it was not true? What if Colin was still sick? What if it was too late? But he held on to the small voice of hope inside him. When the train stopped, he stepped down and saw the same old land. The moor, the hills, the gray sky. But somehow, everything looked different. Lighter, brighter. At the gate of Misselthwaite Manor, the servants were surprised to see him. They stood in silence. Their eyes were wide. They didn't say anything at first. They only nodded slowly. Mr. Craven looked around. "Where is my son?" he asked. His voice shook. "I want to see him." No one gave a clear answer. They only said, "He is out, sir. Outside. Outside." Mr. Craven was confused. How could that be? Colin never went outside. He was always in bed. But before he could ask more, he heard something. Laughter. Not just any laughter. It was the kind of laugh that fills the heart. A boy's laugh. And it was coming from the gardens. He followed the sound. He walked past the rooms, past the hallways, and past the kitchen. He came to a door he hadn't opened in many years. Behind that door was the secret path to the walled garden, the one he had locked after his wife's death. His hand stopped on the doorknob. He hesitated. His heart beat faster. Slowly, he pushed the door open. What he saw made him stop breathing for a moment. The trees were full of green. The roses were blooming. The sunlight was falling through the branches like gold. There was color, life, beauty. The garden that had once been dead and silent was now full of light and sound. And in the center of it all, there was a boy. Not a weak boy, not a sick boy, but a strong, tall boy. His son. Colin turned and saw his father. For a moment, they both froze. Time stood still. Then, Colin smiled. A big, happy smile. He ran. Yes, ran. Across the grass toward his father. "Father," he cried. "Look at me. I can walk. I can run." Mr. Craven fell to his knees. He opened his arms. Colin ran into them. They held each other tightly. Tears fell from both of their eyes. They didn't need to speak. They only needed to feel. Years of sadness were falling away in that moment. Years of silence, broken. Mary and Dickon stood quietly in the garden. They didn't interrupt. They only watched. The robin flew above them, singing. The fox lay in the grass. The flowers danced in the wind. The garden was alive with joy. When Mr. Craven finally pulled back, he looked at his son's face. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "You were so sick. I thought I lost you." Colin shook his head. "I was never truly sick. I was afraid. I was lonely. But the garden helped me. Mary helped me. Dickon helped me. I learned to live again." Mr. Craven stood and looked around. He saw the tree where his wife used to sit. He saw the roses she planted. He felt the peace she once felt. And for the first time, he did not feel pain. He felt her presence. Soft, gentle, like the wind. They spent the rest of the day in the garden. Colin showed his father every flower, every tree, every secret corner. He told him stories of how he first stood, how he took his first steps, how the robin led them to the key. Mr. Craven listened with wonder. "This garden," he said, "was your mother's dream. And now it is yours. You brought it back to life." "No," Colin said. "We did it together. The garden healed us all." That night, they had dinner together in the big dining room. It didn't feel cold or lonely anymore. The candles were warm. The food was full of joy. The three children laughed and shared stories. Mr. Craven listened, smiled, and even laughed once or twice. The house, which had been quiet for so long, was full of life again. The next morning, the servants could not believe what they saw. Mr. Craven walked with Colin through the halls, through the gardens, talking and laughing. The staff whispered to each other. "It's a miracle," they said. "It's like a new life has begun." In the weeks that followed, everything changed. Colin grew stronger every day. Mary became more confident. Dickon continued to bring his wild magic. Mr. Craven opened more windows, more doors. He smiled more. He wrote letters to old friends. He started to live again. But most of all, the secret garden was never locked again. It became a place for everyone. A place of peace. A place of magic. A place where pain turned into healing and sadness turned into joy. And if you ever walked past Misselthwaite Manor, you would see the flowers from the walls, the laughter in the air, and the love in every corner of that special garden. And you would know something beautiful happened here. Something true. Because sometimes all you need is one small key to open the door to a whole new life.